Early in November, during a cold winter night in Paris, a desperate and hungry young man named Thomas wandered the streets. Thomas found himself wandering the cold streets, his stomach gnawing with hunger. His clothes were tattered, and he was destitute, with no home or money to his name. The bitterness of the wind seemed to mirror the bitterness in his heart. As Thomas walked, his gaze fell on a bakery. Through the frosty window, he saw warm loaves of bread, their aroma wafting out and filling the air. His stomach rumbled at the sight, and his thoughts turned to the possibility of stealing a piece of bread to quell his hunger. He stood outside the bakery, torn between his desperate need for food and the nagging voice of his conscience. It seemed as if his hunger was waging a battle against his sense of right and wrong. Just as he was about to give in to his hunger and break the window, the door of the bakery swung open.
"What do you think you're doing?"
She snapped, her tone dripping with disdain.
"Get away from my bakery."
Thomas recoiled, his heart sinking as he realized he had been caught. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just..."
Scoundrel.
Madame Maria spat, her eyes narrowing.
Thinking you can steal from an honest woman's shop. You're nothing but a common thief.
Thomas's cheeks burned with shame, and his desperation only deepened. "I was hungry, ma'am. I didn't mean..."
Get out of here before I call the police.
Madame Maria shouted, her voice echoing through the street. Thomas turned and walked away, his shoulders slumped, the weight of his hunger matched by the weight of his humiliation. He continued down the cold, lonely road, his stomach aching and his heart heavy. As he walked, he noticed a family, a mother, father, and their 2 young children, approaching. The mother's eyes met Thomas's, and he could see sympathy and concern in her gaze.
"Hello there.
The mother said kindly.
Are you all right?"
Thomas hesitated, his pride still stinging from his encounter with Madame Maria. "I'm just passing by." The father exchanged a glance with his wife, and then he smiled at Thomas.
It's a cold night. No one should be out without warm shelter and food.
Thomas felt his throat tighten again, but this time it was because of the kindness he saw in their eyes. "I haven't eaten in days." The mother's expression softened.
"Come with us. We live nearby. There's a warm meal waiting for you."
Thomas's eyes welled up with tears, this time from gratitude. He nodded, his heart swelling with a mixture of relief and thankfulness. As they walked together to the family's modest home, Thomas felt a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in a long time. The warmth of their welcome, the smell of a home-cooked meal, and the laughter of the children eased the ache in his heart. Seated around the table, Thomas shared stories of his struggles, and the family listened with empathy. They offered him not only food but also companionship and understanding, a gesture that touched him deeply. After the meal, as Thomas prepared to leave, the mother handed him a small package.
"Take this with you. It's a piece of bread.
Keep it close for times when you're hungry.
Thomas accepted the package, his heart full. Thank you. I will never forget your kindness. The father shook Thomas's hand warmly.
Remember, there's goodness in the world, even when times are tough.
Thomas walked away from the family's home, the package of bread in his hand. Thomas nodded, a newfound sense of hope blossoming within him. As he stepped back into the cold night, he realized that the warmth he had felt inside the house had been more than just the heat. It had been the warmth of humanity, of understanding, and of compassion.